New Jersey.
Part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network. Brave New Radio.
Brave New Radio. Give us your tired, your poor, your hungry, your rockers, your punks, your freaks, your geeks, your Greeks, your party animals, your gangsters, your commuters, your residents, your students, your alums, your lawyers, your truckers, your calls, your tweets. And we'll give you rock, classic, indie, punk, alternative, easy, hard, raps, rhymes, mixes and drops. We'll give you kick-ass music because we're WPSC 88.7 FM. Brave New Radio. Sound good? The views and opinions expressed on this show are solely those of the hosts and guests and are not necessarily supported by WP 88.7 FM, station management, or the station owner, William Patterson University. Anyone wanting to offer differing opinions may do so by calling this show at 973-720-2738. Abusive callers will be rejected. Now here's your program on WP 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
Well, good morning, good morning. Good morning to you. And yes, it is Saturday morning again. And if you can hear the sound of my voice any way or any method or anywhere that you are listening to it, whether it's on your computer or whether locally here in the northern New Jersey area on your radio, good morning to you. I am your host, Marc Medley, and we come to you live each Saturday morning from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, where we bring you the Reading Circle, where we interview authors from all around the world. And I have a guest that's already on the line. So we are going to go ahead with our normal ritual and routine, which I'm going to share the weather with you in the northern New Jersey area. I'm going to read from 2 books, introduce my guest, share some information with you, and our interview will resume after I share that information with you. But while I'm doing that, you know the drill. Get on all your social media sites and let someone know that the Reading Circle is indeed on the air on gobrave.org. That is web streamed all around the world internationally and locally here on WP 88.7 FM. So I tell you what, let me tell you what's going on weather-wise here in the Wayne, New Jersey area. It's 40.5 degrees right now. We're expecting cloudy with occasional rain, 100% chance of precipitation. Matter of fact, it was drizzling as I was driving into the studio. Occasional rain, mainly in the morning, high of 47, and then we're going to have a low tonight of 26. Some clouds are going to remain around, but the rain will be gone. Then tomorrow, Sunday, overcast, high of 36, low of 20, mainly clear skies tomorrow night. And then as we commemorate the birth of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on Monday, a mix of clouds and sun in the morning, followed by cloudy skies during the afternoon, 20% chance of rain, 28 as a high, 13 as a low. On Tuesday, sun and a few passing clouds, high of 29, low of 19, mostly clear skies Tuesday night. And then rounding out this forecast on Wednesday, 37 as a high, 19 as a low, except for a few afternoon clouds, mainly sunny. A few clouds from time to time on Wednesday night. That is the weather brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. Well, as I always share with you, we read from 2 books. Since this is the Reading Circle, I kick the show off by, guess what? Reading. And from the book, The Power of Being Thankful, January the 16th. Believing the best of others. Love bears up under anything and everything that comes, is ever ready to believe the best of every person. Its hopes are fadeless under all circumstances, and it endures everything without weakening. 1 Corinthians 13:7. The Bible teaches us to always believe the best of every person. However, if we merely let our thoughts lead us, they usually tend toward negativity. Sadly, the flesh without the influence of the Holy Spirit is dark and negative. Thankfully, we don't have to walk in the flesh, but we can choose to be led by the Spirit. When we choose to let the Spirit lead us, we will see the best in other people, and we will be filled with life and peace in our souls. I encourage you to begin seeing other people as children of God rather than as adversaries. Decide to look past their faults and see them as God sees them. Be grateful that the Spirit can help you see the best in every person in your life. The prayer of thanks for today. I thank you today, Father, that you forgive my sins and don't hold them against me. I ask you for your strength in doing the same thing for others. That's from the book, The Power of Being Thankful. 365 devotions for discovering the strength of gratitude. And that's written by Joyce Meyer. From the book Until Today by Ian Van Zant for January the 16th. She says, life will work for me when I realize I must be open to receive and willing to accept the goodness of life. Everybody knows somebody who has a goodness allergy, quote unquote. Whenever things get too good in their lives, they find something wrong, some reason to reject the good. A person with a goodness allergy will focus on what happened yesterday in order not to focus upon the good they are experiencing today. When a person is allergic to good, they don't expect good. They can't expect good. Instead, they make up stories about why nothing good can or will happen to them. If by chance it does, they rub their eyes in disbelief. When you are allergic to good, you rely on the past. You stay mad about what happened back then. You pick fights and keep arguments going. When your goodness allergy really flares up, you find something wrong with how the good came or who brought the good to you. You question why you are receiving the good and how much it is going to cost you. A goodness allergy is grounded in fear. Fear that you will get hurt. Fear that you will lose what you have. Fear that you don't deserve good. You are in fear that if you open your heart and mind to receive good, you will have nothing to whine and complain about. There will be nothing wrong. At the heart of a goodness allergy is the fear that if nothing is wrong, then you too must be all right. And that would be too good to believe. Until today, you may have been suffering from a goodness allergy. You may have lived in fear that you are not good enough to receive good. Just for today, spend some time identifying all of the good things that have happened to you, for you, and through you. Write them down and ask yourself how you really feel about all the good that you have received and the good you have done. Today, I'm opening myself to see and receive more goodness in my life. And that's from the book Until Today by Ian Van Zant. And if you've been following our agenda, if you've been following our routine, then you know it's time for me to introduce my guest. And my guest is not a stranger to the Reading Circle, as he appeared on the show. I believe it was on last year. Time goes by so quickly. It might have been 2 years ago, but I think it was last year in 2015. And that is none other than Kevin Carr. Kevin D. Carr is a 20-year sports business and professional development executive. As an acclaimed award-winning transition expert, author, leadership coach, and keynote speaker, Kevin Carr is the founder and CEO and principal of Pro2 CEO. That's Pro, the number 2 CEO, LLC. Kevin believed a high-performing professional development firm specialize in transition management for professionals in the sports, entertainment, and business needed to exist. Pro2 CEO is a career transition and business development consulting firm for elite current and former athletes, artists, and organizations who seek to increase their optimization and monetization in the business world. Kevin has been a guest lecturer at NYU, UCF, Indiana U, Baruch College for several graduate and undergrad level classes on sports management, leadership, corporate social responsibility, and public administration. He has also been an adjunct professor at Florida State and Michigan State Universities and taught courses on life skills and career development. He has published articles such as Cultivating Your Own Career in the Network Journal magazine, Take It Personally, The Well-Balanced Athlete, Nike All-Canada Camp, Time Management, The Key to Balancing Sports and Academics for the Student Athlete, published in the American Football Quarterly. And currently, Kevin is active in the community, serving as a board member for the R&B artist and actor Neo's Compound Foundation, American Public University's APU Sport and Health Science Advisory Board member, a member of the National Association of Academic Advisors for Athletics, a lifetime member of the FSU, that's Florida State University Alumni Association, and a member of the greatest fraternity in the world, in the universe, none other than Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Oh, 6. He also enjoys coaching and mentoring emerging professionals across the U.S. and a wide range of industry. Kevin resides in the Tampa and is supported by his wife, Janice, and children. Kevin, my good brother, my alpha brother, welcome back to the microphones of the Reading Circle with Marc Medley.
Mark, I appreciate you having me this morning. Every time you read my bio, I sit here and chuckle and I say, who is that?
And the crazy thing about it, this morning I did the abbreviated version because it is, let me see the word I'm looking for. It is robust and august, none other than less than I would expect from an alpha man. And I abbreviated this morning since this is the second time around, because usually I read the entire thing because I want folks in the listening audience, on a serious note, to hear the accomplishments and accoutrements of others to inspire them to say, well, you know what, if it can happen for Kevin, it can happen for me. But I'll do the abbreviated because folks in the listening audience, you don't have it in front of you. But I that was just the first paragraph and the last paragraph. There's a whole bunch in the middle. So,
well, hey, I appreciate it, man. Definitely, I earned every bit of that.
I know that's right.
That's a lot of hard work in between that. So thank you for the kind introduction.
I know that's right. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to share some information with the listening audience. Now, listening audience, if you're new to the show, then this will be foreign to you. But if you've been listening any amount of time, or if you listen from week to week, you know what I'm going to ask you to do. What I'm going to ask you to do is get on all of your social media sites. Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, text, all of your sites. And I need you to get on there and wake somebody up if they're not already up. But I need you to get on there and let somebody know that Kevin D. Carr is on the air with me this morning, and it's going to be a fantastic interview. And all they need to do is, even if they're in bed, if their computer's somewhere near them, turn on their computers, turn on their speakers, and log on to gobrave.org and hit the listen button. And that's all they got to do. If they're in the bed, they can roll right on back over and just listen. And if they happen to be walking around the house, they can do it. Or if they're in their cars, if they're in the northern New Jersey area, WP 88.7 FM. But they actually can hear us on any of their mobile devices as well, as long as they have internet connectivity. So again, it's gobrave.org and WP 88.7 FM. I'm going to go ahead and do this public service announcement, and then Kevin and I are going to have a nice chat for the next 45 to an hour. All right.
No doubt.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members, of their families or their children, asking them to deploy, patrol, stay on watch, on point, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to bring them all the way home, to keep them secure, to have their backs for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs do whatever it takes to help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Find out how you can help at findwwp.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, indeed, you are. You are listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley. We are in our 15th year. This year kicks off year 15. The show began 2001 on the same studio, on the same network, and we have progressed all the way from just being on the radio to being web streamed around the world. So this is our 15th year. This is my second show of 2016. My first show was last week as I took off the Saturday after Christmas and the Saturday after New Year's. And last week was my first show, and this week is the second show of 2016. And as you heard me in the introduction, my guest is Kevin D. Carr. That's C-A-R-R. Kevin, I tell you what, I know you've been on the show with us before, but let's refresh the memories of those who listen, and for those who are new to the show who may not know who you are, let's talk a little bit about where it all began. How did you get into the whole notion of being an entrepreneur and creating Pro to CEO and becoming an author, so forth and so on? Because as we said in the introduction, you said, man, there's a whole lot. I earned every bit of that. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, my inspiration really came from home. I would hope for a lot of people that's a great starting point, but we all know that homes aren't always, the same for everybody. But I was raised single parent, had three siblings, older sister, older brother, and an identical twin brother. Yes, there are two of me running around here. And my mom had a vision to get us out of the projects, and she read avidly, and she told us that we would turn off the TV and we would read on Sundays. We had no TV during the week, by the way, because we had to get our homework and chores done. So she was very strict about that. And after church on Sunday, we would crack open a book, and she would say, "Hey, even though we're in poverty, the poverty does not have to live in us. You do not have to have a poverty mentality. So these books will open your mind up. They will take you places you cannot go right now because we can't afford it. So it can take you to Paris. It can take you to Hawaii. It can take you to Africa. It can take you wherever." So that was, sort of the beginning about books and sort of understanding that to go places you need to have vision and you need to have sort of aspirations and thoughts. So she took that reading piece, Mark, and inspired me with it. And she said, "Hey, I read about this place where they're going to be building. We're going to move from here, and we're going to go there, and I'm going to pursue it." So one night, in the middle of the night, about 1 o'clock in the morning, she gets us all up as kids, and she drives us all the way from Connecticut out of the projects to Florida, lives with my aunt, who was low income as well, but had a home. And there were two women, and she had two kids. So two women, my mom, my aunt, her two kids, and us four. So small 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and we're all there just, trying to make it. And my mom got there, and she just really, really worked hard. And after a couple of years, she said, "I finally achieved that vision." And wouldn't you know, the vision that she was talking about was in the early 70s, was Walt Disney World. She had read about it from the project. She said, "I'm going to get there." And she ended up having a 32-year career and recently retired a couple of years ago. But for me, that was how I saw someone take ownership of their lives by seeing a vision and creating it for themselves through hard work. And for me, I started somewhat similar, first generation in college. And my twin brother and I actually graduated. I had an older brother who went, but he did not graduate. He was an athlete, and he unfortunately was undiagnosed with a learning disability, and college was too much for him, and he got overwhelmed and failed out. He also had an injury. But from there, I graduated with a master's as well, so I ended up getting hired by Florida State the semester before I graduated. I was in the middle of writing my thesis, and they really needed someone, and they asked me to join them, and I joined Florida State as an athletic academic advisor. My first job, I advised tennis, golf, and track. I did not start at the top, and that's another important thing. Grow where you're planted. They gave me a job and say, understand cross-country, tennis, golf, track before you jump into these bigger sports. And I did that, excelled at that role, and they moved me over to football and basketball recruiting. And we had a great run. We won a national championship. I got to work with some of the best young athletes at the time, and also went to Elite Eight with the NCAA with Florida State. So here I am, my first 3 years, national championship under my belt. And then from there, getting a chance to go to Elite Eight, working with athletes who went on to the NFL, NBA, PGA, etc. I got hired by another company, recruited away from Florida State for a company called Inroads. And Inroads does career development and business and industry for minorities. And I got a chance to work with a lot of companies, helping them find talented minorities, because it was difficult for Fortune 100 companies like Coca-Cola, Motorola, IBM, NASA, Lockheed Martin Missiles, Siemens Semiconductors. We were finding some of the best talent for them to fulfill very difficult roles, and that worked out really well. I got a chance to be hired again back in sports. I took that job with Michigan State, moved across the country, began building a great program there. It wasn't easy again, but lightning strikes twice. I come in, we work very hard, and then the team performs extremely well through a lot of the balance we added off the court. And another championship, this time in basketball, and another one after that, this time in hockey, which was the Frozen Four championship. So I was really blessed to be around a lot of championship environments, understanding what success looked like, and seeing that I could contribute as an administrator and all of that. And then, lo and behold, I got a call of my lifetime, which was actually the easiest job I got, which was the NBA. It was predicated on all that hard work before that, though. The NBA knew my background and said, please come join us. I helped them start their development league, which is a minor league, which is the first one they created, and now it's a substantial part of their business where all the minor league players who don't make it to the NBA play and hopes of getting to the NBA. And then after 2 years in the minors, I was able to switch over to the NBA and began working with every player in the world in terms of their transition into NBA. So yes, LeBron James I work with. Yes, Stephen Curry. Yes, been around Kobe Bryant and some of those retired players now like Shaq and Allen Iverson. But what was real important was I was able to make a huge difference also on the social responsibility space with them, and I was able to help the NBA grow a global initiative for outreach called NBA Cares as well. I ended up leaving the NBA and started my own company, which is now Pro to CEO, and we deal with transition. Specifically, we transition people, we transition organizations, people who want to start businesses primarily, and with organizations who want to create change within their systems and improve their business models. So, Mark, we have done quite a bit of work over those 14 years, and I'm real grateful to be in the position I am in now.
I know that's right. In terms of, first off, God bless. Actually, God has blessed, and He's still blessing. And I'm listening to you, and I'm reading your bio at the same time. And now, was there a player in the NBA named Kevin Carr?
There's a player called Chris Carr.
Okay, so it wasn't Kevin Carr. Then if that's the case, and this is the same thing, the first time you were on the show, I had pretty much the same feeling in terms of, even though you may not have played, I still had known of your name in the NBA. So even though you weren't an NBA player, your name was still either said at some point during games, that or either you were on the camera at a game or something. Because when I first contacted you the last time, I was under the impression that you were an NBA player. But whenever we talked the last time, you said, no, I didn't play in the NBA, but I did so forth, this, that, and the other with the NBA. But somewhere along the way, your name, either from a TV commentator or either on a camera shot or something, your name came up because you were associated in my mind with the NBA before I even knew anything about you.
Yeah, absolutely. For years, Mark, I did the NBA draft. And that's where you introduce every player who's come, and that was televised, and I was always front and center with the transition of the magical $1 million handshake from the player to the commissioner. That was part of my role. And people may have said, hey, that's Kevin, who does a lot of the NBA transition work with new players and their families coming into the league.
So back to what you were saying in terms of just in the beginning, in terms of your mom enforcing the reading. And again, working with children every day and parents and teachers and everything, I try to instill that and to help people understand that reading is the foundation for everything else. As a matter of fact, the impetus for this show was the station manager at the time wanted to do something around reading. And I happened to be in the area and we were talking and he said, you're a teacher and I thought you'd be perfect to do the show, and the rest kind of is history. But reading is so critical. And I don't think people realize just how critical it is. And whenever you have parents who put their foot down and say, you're turning the television off. Now, in our day, and I'm older than you are, in my day, all this other stuff wasn't nowhere close. The TV was it. And maybe a little transistor AM, FM radio. So that was about the only things we would have had to turn off. But in 2016, you got to turn off the cell phone. You got to turn off the TV. You got to turn off the Xbox. You got to turn off the PlayStation. You got to turn off all these other electronic devices and just read a good book. And for all of you who are parents out there, if you listen to what Kevin just said, my mother forced us to turn off the television and read a book. If you ever were to read Ben Carson's story, regardless of what you feel about Ben one way or the other with his presidential run, but if you ever read Think Big, in that story, he says pretty much the same thing, that his mother made him and his brother turn the television off and write book reports for her, and she couldn't read. They didn't know she couldn't read because she pretended. She didn't let them know she couldn't read, but she could not read herself, but understood the value and importance of reading. And she forced them to turn off the television and write book reports. And so far, what I'm connecting here is everyone that I have talked to that has kind of had that type of experience has been extremely successful. Now, you can say it's coincidence. You can say what you want to say, but I know I agree with Kevin as well as Dr. Carr because it's happened for me. My parents were the same way, and they really didn't have to force me to turn on the TV because I always loved reading to begin with, and that was modeled from my father. And I've explained to you on the air many times before. My father worked a factory job. He'd go to work 6:30 in the morning. Like clockwork, he was home by 4:30. Changed, washed, by 5:15 or so, he was sitting up in the living room reading a book or Ebony magazine or so forth or something. But he was always reading, and I watched that and patterned it. And I developed my love for reading from that as well. My point is, reading, like Kevin said, will take you to places that you may never get out of your chair to go. The fact that you're reading about Paris, guess what? You've been to Paris. The fact that you're reading about London or South Africa, or either you're reading biographies and autobiographies about people, it's just as if you've met them. But people have to take the time, Kevin, to do it. And that's where the issue comes in. Because I don't like reading. It takes too much time. You don't understand where reading will take you to. And if you listen to Kevin and all his various transitions, it started from his reading. Now, this is the thing I find interesting. This is why I always key in on the whole sports and the NBA thing. Because you made it into that world not necessarily having been a player in the professional, even though you were an athlete at the college level, so forth and so on. You weren't necessarily the NBA player, but yet you were in the NBA.
Right. I didn't even play in college, to be honest with you. I played intramurally and competitively amongst athletes from time to time that I went to school with. But no, I really understood, what my interest was, and I didn't fake any time saying, hey, I'm going to pursue this. I really thought that going to college, period, was an opportunity for me to be a game changer in my life. And the sports really impacted us as a family because my oldest brother, he worked so hard, I tell you, Mark, and like a lot of kids put everything in one basket sometimes. And when he got to school, he did well. He got in that first year, he started playing, and then he had a major injury at the end of his first season. Came back the second season, but was not the same. And then the depression set in of not being able to play, and he didn't feel he identified with anything but football. And the student part of him, where he could have continued to be a student,
right,
he did not, because he couldn't keep up. And with the added not being able to play, it got him in a depression. He came back home, and he ballooned up in weight. He was an offensive lineman anyway. So he was, just heavy and went around town with very mediocre jobs until we had a family intervention and basically said, hey, man, you got to change. And you've got to put yourself back in the game. And yes, it hurts to not fulfill that dream of yours, but you can transition your skills into something else. You are quite capable of being a really good professional in what's next. So we have to get you going. So we encourage him to look at team-related professions. So the military was something where he could get direction, he could work in a team, and he ended up joining the Air Force and was there for the next 12 years, finished his degree under the GI Bill. And as a family and as a young person, I observed him not making it, and I observed how we support. I said, man, there's probably a lot of people like my brother out here. I'd like to maybe solve for that. So that's how I began the foray into supporting athletes in general, starting at home, starting with our own family. We had it going on before I even knew this would even existed.
And see, and you hit on exactly where I was going because, again, working with an urban school, an African-American and Hispanic population, most, particularly our boys, most of them, if you were to ask them, what is it that you would like to do whenever you're an adult, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, I'm going to play professional football. I'm going to play professional basketball. I'm going to join the NBA. I'm going to be in the NFL. And I won't go that line because we can talk for hours on terms of the statistics and the odds. But where I really wanted to go into in terms of, okay, let's say, for example, you're not the actual player, but there are so many careers that are still associated with those organizations. And yours is one of them, or was one of them. And that's what the kids don't connect, that there's more to the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, soccer leagues. So there's more to it than just the actual playing of the ball. That there are a whole lot of careers out there that still, you have the lawyer, you have the sports lawyer, you have the sports agent, you have the sports marketing person, you have the transition companies like yours. There's so many things associated that, yes, you can be a part of the NBA or the NFL, but you don't necessarily have to be playing in it and still make a decent living at it. And so that's the message that whenever I'm talking to children, we try to get them to understand that there are just so many opportunities for you if you prepare yourself. And to hear you say, the tragic portion of my brother's career is what kind of started my vision in terms of there are other people out there like him. Even that's a story to tell. So
absolutely,
we are going to share some more information with the listening audience. Listening audience, you know the deal. See, I have no affiliation with Hootsuite whatsoever, but I'm just sharing with you that with Hootsuite, you can hit all of your social media sites at the same time. So Hootsuite allows you to hit, and I'm quite sure there's other vendors like that, but it allows you to hit all your social media sites simultaneously. That's what I have. So when I send one message out, it goes to everything. It goes to Facebook. It goes to LinkedIn. It goes to Instagram. It goes to all of my sites in one time. If you have something like that, please get on there and let them know that an inspirational story is being shared on gobrave.org. And my guest is Kevin D. Carr, because during the time when Kevin is talking and I'm not on the air, that's what I'm doing. I'm typing. Whenever I'm sharing the public service announcements with you, I'm typing. So I just ask that you do the same. Text somebody, because it is worthwhile. I know it's early in the morning, but the early bird catches the worm. And something might be said, something said by Kevin may encourage and inspire you to get out there and go after your dream as well. So do that in the next couple of minutes that we are offline, and we will resume shortly. And then we're going to talk about Kevin's latest project, Meet the ERS, E-R-S. So you don't want to miss that, and you want to know what the ERS are all about. Let somebody else know that they need to be listening as well.
Yeah, you don't want to miss this. It's good stuff.
That's right.
Hey, Woolly P students! Need help with a paper? Stuck on a difficult writing assignment? Have no fear, the WPU Writing Center is here. The Writing Center can help you form a thesis, edit a paper, or just organize ideas. Feel free to stop by either of our locations. We're at Atrium 128 and Valley Road 3048. For more information, please check out our website at wpunj.edu/Writing Center. Remember, walk-ins are welcome. We look forward to seeing you at the Writing Center.
My name is Diamonds. I am a radio DJ in North Jersey. I broadcast on the frequency of 88.7 FM. I will be on the air every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. when the sun is setting in the sky. If you are out there, if anyone is out there, I can provide music, I can provide entertainment. If there's anybody out there, anybody, please.
Club Melting Pot. Every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Only on WP 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
All right, it is time for us to resume our interview. I have been encouraged and inspired myself just listening to Kevin again in the first half hour of the show. Hopefully you have been as well, because I really get excited each Saturday morning as I get a chance to talk to people from around the world, and their story inspires and encourages me. Because I always tell everybody, if no one else gets blessed by the show, if no one else gets encouraged, inspired, or helped, I know one person who does, and that's me. So even if it was just for me, I am blessed and thankful to have the opportunity to talk to so many wonderful people from around the globe because of being host of this show. And for those who are listening, or like I said, I don't know how many people are listening, but I do know it helps me, this one person sitting behind this microphone, listening to the stories and the testimonials of the guests that I have the opportunity to chat with. And that, again, is occurring this morning. As I was just listening to Kevin as we went through the first half hour, I was just sitting here like, just ideas popping in my head, as well as just being thankful and grateful, and just knowing another brother is succeeding, and the fact that he's my fraternity brother, and so forth and so on. And as I said right before we shared the other information with you, his latest project is a book called Meet the ERS. That's a capital E, capital R, small s. And it is a book for people who want to navigate life, business, and sports more effectively. It's a parable story that follows Eric, a rising star in the workplace who has to do a 4-person rotation in order to get the prize promotion. The problem is these 4 people, Blamer, Klinger, Leaper, and Doer, are a fun, quirky crew of characters who have distinct behaviors that Eric takes on unknowingly. As a result, his ER-like behavior could impact his ability to get the coveted job he wants in the end. Meet the ERS identifies the dysfunctions of organizational culture and group dynamics and examines how to correct them to make us more functional at work, sport, and life. Meet the ERS can be used to develop and train teams, groups, departments, organizations, and leadership groups to increase levels of sales, functionality, communication, ingenuity, social media engagement, life skills, and humor. And the book is Meet the ERS. If those of you, if you want to get an appreciation for what type of book it is, if you ever read anything like Who Moved My Cheese or The Energy Bus or any of those type of books that are, for the most part, quick reads, but have a message in there. That's why he says a parable story. That's what this book is like. So, Kevin, where did the idea for that come from, and kind of what were some of the things as you were putting it together? What was the impetus of this book?
Well, it came from a player meeting at the NBA. We were talking to players one day, and one of my colleagues, we generally had joint meetings, he was the vice president. We were talking to the players, trying to motivate them around professional development as a topic. We do that a lot. Although people don't realize the NBA spends a lot of time away from the game, professionalizing these young men because they're so young coming into everything that they have. You've got to take the time out and educate and empower them and enlighten them. So we had the meeting, and one day one of the colleagues said, make sure you don't be a blamer, but be a doer. And that just stuck with me, and it just kind of just resonated. I took some notes and left it at that. And one day, shortly after, a player came to me and he said, just like this, he said, man, the reason why I can't be successful in the NBA is because the point guard won't pass the ball right. The big man won't set the pick. The coach won't play me. And most of all, the refs cheat. So I can't get in the game and do what I do. I said, man, this guy sounds like a blamer. And I just kind of took a note. And then as I did, I'd travel a lot, and I'd get back to my office, and I'd have, interns and staff sometimes do work. So one of my colleagues, I said, hey, do you have that document done for me? She said, man, the reason why I didn't get that document done was because of Judy. Judy didn't get her part, so I couldn't get my part. And I said, so you're a blamer too. And I just said, there's no difference between the players and the people. And lo and behold, I had the blamers somewhere else. I get home, talk to my son about homework. I said, did you get your assignment in? You got a 0. He said, Dad, man, the reason why I didn't get my homework was done because I was, Josh, he was, or it was another friend or someone, and I was like, man, you can't exist like this. We gotta fix this. So this is where the emphasis. So I started studying people. I'm a human resource master's, and I have expertise in sort of learning systems and organizations, how to get people to perform better. And I kept thinking about where are these other tendencies, the most prevalent ones, Mark. So I ended up adding the clinger. The clinger is the person who holds on and doesn't want to move forward. They sort of live life in the rearview mirror. They're always the one that says, back in my day, or I liked it when it was like this, or remember when we used to get this. Although we're living in the now, they live in the past. And then the other is the leaper. The leaper says, man, I know pretty much what I need to know. I don't really have to listen to anybody. I sort of work autonomously on my own, and I like to sort of not have to listen. I'm moving ahead fast, quicker, better, so I know what I need to do, so I don't have to work with anybody. I jump ahead, I leap ahead. So there you have it, the blamer, the clinger, the leaper. And the last one, the most powerful one, is the doer. It's the one that is the most consistent, the one who you don't have to tell what to do in terms of to be a performer on and off the court or at work or at home. They're the one that looks for the win-win. They're the one that's the most balanced and the one that has sort of the spirit of working together and listening as well as sharing and really being the most empowered one. So if you look at all 4 of them, Mark, the Ers, 3 of them actually are dysfunctional, and one of them is obviously a functional one that we can practice being more like, and the book kind of reveals that.
And as I was listening to you, I'm literally on Amazon right now, and I'm on Amazon Smart. I'm literally downloading your book right now. I just did it as you were talking, and so it'll be on my iPad when I get home. It'll be on my iPad, and I'll be reading it. And this sounds like a book that as a matter of fact, I know already, because as you were describing the 4 characters, I'm seeing people that I supervise that fall in each category. So I already know right now I'm going to be doing something with this book, whether either ordering additional copies or either doing some type of professional development with it, or either watching a YouTube video with the staff or something. I already know right now, or
we could do something together.
Exactly. So I'm already like the wheels are turning. Yeah. But now, as you were describing, you said the NBA player, then you got home, then you had this person on the job when you wanted the documents, and so it was interesting as each one of them were coming up with all these different excuses. And it's interesting as I listened to this also, because I just sent an email to one of my teachers who's constantly doing the same thing you were just describing. And I put in the email that quote about excuses are the tools of the incompetent. And I had to be very tactful and say, now listen, be very clear. I'm not saying you're incompetent. I'm just sharing that quote with you. That, you know what? That's excuses are a tool. And so that's what I'm hearing there with a lot of the whining versus the one character who was the doer. How do you get from becoming one of the others to being the doer? Because that's the end goal. Yeah. I guess we have to work our way through the story to get there. But I mean, or do they ever get there, or do they just stay stuck in those others?
Well, the story plays out at an office. This newcomer, he's a too. The newcomer is Eric, and he's really making his transition from sports. He was a college athlete, got a pro tryout, did not make it, so he has to go to work. And he's excited because he's a pretty talented student as well as athlete. He didn't put all his eggs in one basket, but with that, he still has to learn a new set of unwritten rules when you go to work. A lot of people, you know, particularly when you're new, especially these days, people expect you to have it laid out for them and expect for you to give them all the answers.
That's right.
That they don't want to really go through anything. And really, Eric, he's sort of like amazed that he's having to figure out what he's having to figure out. And he's taken back by all of this change, so much so that he doesn't realize he's just going with the wind. He's being on the side of the blamer. He's being on the side of the clinger. He's on the side of the leaper. And at the same time, he's being observed by his supervisor.
Correct.
And he has to sort of figure it out. And he does sort of up and down, all over the place job initially trying to figure out. And then he finally, at the end, gets it. I'm not going to give the punchline away because you got to read the story.
That's right. Don't give it away.
Or not. But I will say that he learns a really valuable lesson about self-appraisal, Mark, and self-appraising others.
Right.
And some people don't realize that when they don't get the promotion, it's often not about you not being able to be a good performer. It's about you being able to understand where your skills are and where the organization's needs are. And if you can match up and do that better than some people sometimes, that can be an asset. The other thing is that, you know, there is a factor of likability and whether or not you're a super performer. Do you get along with other people? And sometimes when you don't, that can be what I call career immobilization for you as well, meaning that you're not going anywhere, your career is not moving, and there could be all kinds of variables as a result of that you have to work at. But the thing that helps us in the book be more doer-like is the number one thing is realizing that we're actually a bit of all four of these.
Right.
At some point. And the book really does a good job helping you understand that in order to achieve, in order to navigate better, or in order to transition better and to read others better, you have to become more doer-like. And the way that we've done, and we explain in the book, is there are 9 really key critical factors that help you do that. And they start from having more of a values-based approach in what you do. And one of them starts with confidence, being more confident about who you are and what you bring to the table when you go into systems and organizations. A lot of people come in timid, or a lot of people come in overconfident. You can't be over, you can't be under. You really have to find that happy medium, and that's true of anything. Sometimes we run away from the very things that we need to be more confident, and this is discovered in the workplace. Well, he doesn't, or she doesn't do this quite well, so we're going to kind of pass on them when people need to know that they're looking for strong, confident people in the roles that we play. And sometimes if you come with the lack of it, particularly in a sales role, you have to believe, as it's always said, that, you know, people don't buy the product, they buy you.
That's correct.
They buy whether or not they believe that you believe
that
correct. You are in this product and you are in it to help them improve their business. If they don't get that sense from you, then they will probably pass So that's one of the 9 things that we talk about. We talk about being more confident, and that could be in a lot of spaces. A lot of people aren't confident around social media. You have done a great job. Every time I get on here, you really walk people through on the how-to, and that's confidence building for people. And people don't understand that. It's not that he's not giving sometimes great information. He's giving great information. And he's given instruction. That's 2 different things. Like, some people can give it to you and then they don't tell you how to do it. You just told us how to go to Hootsuite and really be more efficient and effective with our time. And that builds confidence for some people around the social media space. You just enlightened me that that's probably a tool that I need to add. I do it in a couple of my social media pieces where I tweet out and it goes to Facebook, but I don't do it across all of them. So that's something that I just learned. Thank you for that.
Oh,
so
you're more than welcome.
This is, part of the book itself is part of a teaching tool. It's part of a training tool. It's actually a really good way, even for managers and you, like you were saying, you've already adopted what I say. This book isn't just for someone who's coming. It's for seasoned professionals like yourself who can coach towards people saying, this is a new tool I can use in my coaching, a new language I can talk to my students with, talk to my kids with, talk to my team with, just to help them identify where they are and help them quickly self-appraise and get themselves moving in a better trajectory. So it does a lot in a very small, impactful way.
It really does, and I noticed you chose this format, and I see, matter of fact, in the beginning of the description, it says, is a parable story. What made you decide to go that way? I have an idea what the answer is, but talk to us a little bit about why you decided to kind of go into like the little characters and more of a storytelling type format versus, something that's a little bit more informational text.
Right. So we wanted to be innovative. We just didn't want to have the same book that everybody else had. We understood patterns of reading now. All the research says that people don't want to read very long, drawn-out pieces, and they want to be somewhat entertained while they're educated. And we took that approach. So we partnered with a company called Tykes. And Tykes, at My Tykes on Instagram, if you want to follow them, and they have a powerful product. And what they do is they do avatars of some of the most high-profile athletes and celebrities, etc., and they really do it from current events. So I approached them, and through a friend of mine who recommended I talk to them, and I said, look, I want to create a diverse set of characters. I want it to represent where America is, where we are going globally. So I want men, women, black, white, Asian, Latino, Indian. I wanted to reflect that. And then I wanted to be able to engage social media. I want the characters, and this is where the innovation comes in. With the partnering of Tykes, they allowed us to design each character, and the character comes off the book into social media, and we tweet about him or her, the blamer, what he or her or him or her are thinking. What our readers can do then is they can join in the discussion. And this is the first that we know of, Mark, that a book has created the characters where they are now not just in a book, but they go on and live on social media, and they can promote the negative or the positive, and we can get responses from people. And we've been able to post about it on LinkedIn. We've been able to do updates on Instagram, and obviously we send daily tweets from time to time on Twitter and Facebook, putting out messages. So we're everywhere with the Urs. If you would go to protoceo.com or Kevin Carr CEO on Twitter, those are ways you can follow us as well. But it's already out there. It's working, and that's where it came from. We wanted to be very different with this, right? And so we think the animation space allows us to really get a complicated message out, right, in a very easy, friendly way.
So the characters actually have a life of their own in the social media world?
Absolutely. You can follow Brenda Blamer, Carl Klinger, Larry Leifer, and Daria Dewar on Instagram at Pro the CEO. Or you can follow him on Twitter. I'm about to put out a tweet, as you're saying, in between you talking. I'm about to put a message that we're on the reading circle, and you got to come and hear me and Eric and Professor Medley.
Exactly. That is different. I like that. Because first off, it's giving you immediate feedback as to people who are reading the book or following along. And secondly, like you said, in 2016, that kind of like, that's a grabber. And like, wait a minute, this is not only a book, it's something that I can interact with through social media, which generally people like anyway. So wow, that is definitely innovative. That is fun. I will definitely be playing with that as well as I get into the book and figure out how to go back and forth on Twitter or either Instagram or what have you. But definitely that is neat, because that gives people one of the things with my teachers, and we have really been trying to work on this thing of giving people a voice. What I've realized is that really is a critical piece of anything that you're really trying to do from a team perspective, is at least people feel as if someone is, because one of the things I'm constantly hearing is, we're talking, but you all don't hear us. We're sharing with you, but you don't hear us. And so giving folks a voice, what I've learned over time, is critical. And where I'm going with this whole thing is, in some respects, you're giving your reader voice to your book.
Right.
And they have the opportunity to interact with you and follow the characters, which is even more reason why once they get the book, you've also created a way for them to stay connected to the book.
Exactly. That's exactly the thinking, because it's hard now to catch their attention. We know people live on their phones, so we did make a version for Kindle. So there's really no excuse. You can take this with you wherever you go.
No, it's not. I'm literally
social media.
And I don't make stuff up I don't make stuff up, period. But I don't make stuff up while I'm on the air. Literally, as you were talking, I went to Amazon. It was in the Kindle version. Click the button, buy now, and it's gone to my Kindle. The only reason I can't pull it up now is my Kindle doesn't have the internet in the location that I'm in at the moment. It's a studio. I don't have the internet capability. But as soon as I leave here and I get home, it will be in my Kindle. And so that was done as we were talking.
And I appreciate you getting your coffee. Thank you.
Well, you know what? This is the thing. I am a firm believer, as being an artist, that we all have to support each other. So in terms of, especially since the Kindle days, it was a little bit harder for me to do with hardcover and stuff. But with the Kindle days, generally, that's where I've been able to support my guests. As during the interview or either right after the interview, I usually download the book. I have over 200 plus books on my Kindle. And it's interesting because I just moved. Me and my wife purchased a different house. We sold one house and moved to another one. But the new house, the library is not as big as the one that I was in. So a lot of books, a lot of my hardcover books and soft paper, I had to actually donate. And I didn't want to throw them away. I didn't want to so I found an organization that I can give it to. And I've been really pushing that lately as well. Let me see, what is it? Better World Books or worldbetterbooks.com, something like that. But anyway, I found a Dropbox, put the books in there. Where I'm going with this is, with the Kindle version, it is much easier, and I didn't think I was going to like Kindle, but I did. It was much easier for me whenever I'm talking to my various guests, particularly when it's in the Kindle format, the downloadable, the digital format. I can just go on there, hit that buy now button, and I've done a couple of things. One, I've gotten a great book, and I've also had an opportunity to support my guest. As artists, we have to support each other. We have to buy each other products, because that's why we have them out there. It's not that we're trying to be multimillionaires, but at the same time, you want your product to sell.
Absolutely. So
I was happy to do that, and I can't wait to get home to open it up, because I just like, how did you come up with your cover? Because it's very colorful. That's one of the things that any author knows, that whenever somebody does still go to a bookstore, is you need the book to leap off of the shelf. And the urge, just the lettering alone, is very colorful. How did you decide on your cover?
Well, we decided because we knew, just like you said, it was competitive out there. I mean, you got 500 books facing you immediately when you walk in front of a storefront. So what's going to make me gravitate to mine over yours? We thought that we needed to do a color thing. We thought the meet term, you hear it in marketing a lot, meet the Browns, meet the Flockers, and I wanted to introduce a very difficult subject, but I wanted to be lighthearted. And like you, I was really inspired by Spencer Johnson's Who Moved My Cheese, so I said, you know what, I'm going to go with Meet the Ers. And a lot of people would say, oh, why the Ers? Are you talking about ERs, like medical doctors? Or, so it was really a hard thing to sort of finally decide, but you have to pull the trigger at some point. And what we've learned, too, is that it really speaks very well to where people are. We thought it would speak well to social media and come across and really pop. And we just thought that it could work. So we wanted it to be diverse. The characters are diverse on the cover. We wanted to embody somewhat of the sports world, which I came from, but also the corporate world, which we want to go into. As you know, our business model is not just with athletes. So we have done this with companies, with government, agencies, and, we've done it with institutions and colleges, also our familiar stomping ground sports. So we didn't want to limit ourselves. So it does come across a little corporate friendly on the cover. And now we've gotten some indicators from the corporate world that they would like to have a corporate version of this book. So we're going to do another cover. And that's the great thing about being an entrepreneur. You can change, and you don't have to go through so many hoops in order to figure out whether or not. I just say, hey, it sounds like I've done our research, and now we're going to give a special cover to the corporate world because they want something a little different.
Well,
so
interestingly enough,
yeah,
interestingly enough with the cover, because people tell me I think too deep, and I don't think I think too deep. It's kind of like I just observe things. But I'm looking at the cover, and there's some subliminals going on there that maybe people who quote unquote don't think as deep as I do would maybe miss, or maybe they wouldn't miss. But if you notice, for those of you in the listening audience, I know this is not TV, but when you go to the site and look at the book, you'll notice you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and you have one in a tie that's more corporate. You have others that are like one in a polo. You have the young lady, one in a dress, one in slacks. But in the background, you see in subdued or subliminal or either kind of faded, you see a jersey hanging up, and you see various sporting events. But it's not very prominent. I mean, it's not something that's going to leap out at you because even it's in black and white and the characters are in color. But that's all by design. That's where I'm saying is nothing is done by happenstance. It's still somewhere in your subconscious. You're picking up on exactly what Kevin just said. It's a combination of corporate, a combination of the sports world. I see a water cooler back there. And then you can look at the facial expressions of all the employees or the people who are on the cover. So it really works in terms of what you're trying to get it to do.
Yeah, and plus, subliminally, what it's saying is they're at work at the water cooler. It happens to be a sports agency. So when you go into sports agency, there are all kinds of framed work. And even on the back mark on the book, there are 4 of the Ers like alter egos. So you see sort of like a color noted background of each. So that's the blamer with her color coming out, the leaper with his color, the clinger, and the doer. So they surround you. They're there. You just have to notice them. And sometimes the book, this book really helps you bring those out so you see where those tendencies are. So we wanted to let people know that there are identities happening all around you. Now,
absolutely.
Whether or not you choose to engage them and observe them is the art of how you do work, because it's really important to help people get there who haven't been there. And this book really is part of a really quick, easy way to understand how to come into complicated systems and navigate and read people and really get a feel. So this really works on those soft skills that a lot of employers are telling us that young people and people aren't just doing anymore because we're spending so much time on emails. We're not interfacing and being able to adapt. And you still, at the end of the day, you still have to be able to talk to people,
absolutely,
work with people, and integrate with people when things aren't going as great and find a solution. And that's where each of these Ers, some people get tripped up on them and they get where I'm just going to leave this organization because nobody sort of recognizes me. And that's one of the biggest complaints in business, that people don't feel appreciated. People don't feel recognized. And what we're saying is we're giving you a tool here to help you recognize where there's possible challenges that you can easily identify into and help navigate your way to the top better, quicker, faster than you could if you didn't realize these. And that's the beauty of this. It's a quick 104 pages. You'll be done before you know it. And what's really strong about this is we decided to have really, if you didn't read the whole thing, Mark, you would have a chapter at the end of each chapter, there are reflection questions that really speak to each part of that book, the chapter that you just read. So you can go at the end of the chapter and really be inspired by reflecting on what you just read, and it will give you sort of the feedback you look for when you say, am I learning anything by reading this? And what we've gotten back from people is like, man, your book hit the mark. I really saw myself first and foremost, and I didn't think I would, and it was kind of embarrassing, or it kind of helped me realize the time in my work where I was, a little bit of the blamer, clinger, and leaper, and then it helped me realize that in other people that I work around that I do have some blamers I need to stay a little bit away from, or clingers or leapers. So it's helping people, if anything, see things they have not seen in themselves and others before.
I know that's right. We're down to the last couple of minutes of the interview, and I always turn the microphone over to my guest to let him or her promote. You can say anything with the exception of a dollar amount, but anything short of that, book signings, where you're going to be, how to get in touch with you, your websites, your business, how folks, if they need you to come out and do professional development with their organization, any of that you can say with the exception of the dollar amount. Any shout outs you want to give to your wife or your kids or anybody else in your organization, you feel free. You have the next few minutes to do that.
Oh, appreciate it very much. Well, I'm very grateful that producing a book like this was a lifelong dream. It's the first of many to come. This wasn't as challenging as I made it. So if there are any aspiring authors out there, this is an entrepreneurial product. I did this. I did it from start to finish. I hired a writing coach to help me write, but this is Kevin Carr inspired all the way thick and thin and through. I was able to hire a graphic person and able to help us design this. So this isn't impossible to do and to get it up on Amazon and Kindle and Barnes & Nobles. You just got to be willing to put in the work. What I will say is this book is a game changer. It really reads for those people who are looking for transition in this day and age and they want to make a move to the next level. And they've always asked me, how did you get to the MBA? How did you get to where you started your own business and launched it on the New York Stock Exchange? I tell them that one of the things I did well was figuring out that I needed to be able to read the people and the systems that I was in order to navigate my way to the top. And this book does that with a very clever, fun, quirky way. It takes a real engaging concept and it just takes it further. And the beauty of this is that we can teach it in a classroom setting. We can talk to a team about it. We can talk to a corporation, and we can talk to even the churches where I've been asked to come and talk about the herbs in the church. So believe that. And one of the things I will say is you will really find yourself in this book. It won't be something that you can't identify with. Pro, the CEO, my company, designed this as a product. So it is something that we will train on and teach on and really bring to people. We already have a workbook in the works and the training that we can go out and do this. So it's really important. The easiest thing is to go out to Amazon, and if you've got a Prime account, it allows you to do that and pick up the book for yourself and others. You'll find that it's helpful for couples. It's helpful for families who have some challenges with the people in their organizations, people in their family, as well as companies.
That's right.
So for me, it is a very, very important but easy way to address a very difficult subject. And just the easiest way to find this is at meettheherbs.com, as well as Pro the CEO on Instagram and on Facebook and on Twitter. And if you follow those, or if you will follow us, you'll keep up with the herbs and find out where you are.
I know, and it's funny you would say that. because that's what I'm getting ready to hit the send button for my last tweet. It says, "Are you a blamer, clinger, leaper, or doer? Find out by reading Meet the Ers by Kevin D. Carr." So that I'm getting ready to hit the send button on that right now. And matter of fact, I just hit it. Well, I am thrilled to have chatted with you once again. Kevin got in touch with me around the October-November timeframe and told me about the new project, and we got the date scheduled, and that time flew so quickly. I looked up last night and I said, wow, tomorrow's the 16th. And that's whenever I tweeted you and emailed you saying we're on tomorrow, so forth and so on. But the time really flew, but it was well worth the wait. And I am excited for you. Like I said, I will begin reading it today. Because like I said, each one of those characters already popped in mind of folks that I work with, as well as some family issues that's going on also, as you just said. So I'm thrilled for you. We'll be in touch again. And I'll be, interacting with you with the characters. You'll see one of my 4 Twitter sites, or maybe even the school one, the Napier Academy one. You'll see one of the 5 sites interacting with the characters. But again, I'm excited. Keep doing what you do. I'm trying to think of that. Let me see. I'm trying to say how my mother always said. In some kind of way, she says keep doing what you're doing, but she says it in another way. But the bottom line is keep up the great work.
Well, thank you for having me, too. I appreciate you extending the invitation back then. You said when you got that book out, you could come back on, and you're a man of your word. So just one humble frat brother to another, man. Thank you for allowing us authors to have a platform in which to talk about the work that inspires us, but it also helps other people. We're servant leaders at the end of the day.
Yes, indeed.
It's not about us. It's about helping people be the very best that they've been called to be. And I thank you for taking this time for me to get out this real creative project that I hope will inspire a new generation of leaders and thinkers and professionals, and as well as people in general. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate you.
You are more than welcome. And the phrase I was looking for was keep on keeping on. All right. Have a great and blessed day, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Take care now.
You.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, we're going to change over. That is the end of the Reading Circle. I had a blast with Kevin, my fraternity brother, author, outstanding gentleman. And I would encourage you to get the book. And again, ask yourself, are you a blamer? That's where the ERs come from, the ER at the end of each one of those words. Are you a blamer, a clinger, leaper, or doer?